What's up? It's your boy Brandon Brown. Catch me on the Quotables Podcast, where everyday conversations turn into timeless quotes. Like, my idea of what Hollywood was completely different. I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna walk out there. They're gonna see me. They're like, oh, I want him in the movie. You know, it's like that's not how like life works. You know, you'll get humble with it because everybody who's like, you know, the star or gym in their own city, they all come here. And then we all kind of realize, like, you know, you kind of get humble, and then you go to audition and you see like a dozen yous, and you're like, oh, I'm not so special. So I didn't. It wasn't necessarily for fame, but I just wanted to like entertain.
We here at the Quotables Podcast. It's your boy #Zammy with a Z, not an S.
Domingo.
And before we get started, you know what I'm saying, we both rocking hats today. You know what I'm saying? We got the DukeTV media hats.
Yes, sir.
First merch dropping. You know what I'm saying? So make sure you go, you know, check out the pre-order for that. This is going to be limited. So, you know what I'm saying? Make sure you grab that because then we're going to move on to something else. So,
yes, sir. Very nice embroidered hat, man.
With that being said.
That's hard. I need one of those.
Yeah.
It's
we
like
got you.
Super solid trucker, man. If y'all need a black trucker in your collection, definitely cop that.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah, we got you. We got you with one for sure. But, you know, to get started, you know, we have a very fire guest for y'all today. Very fire, very different. You know, if you saw our previous podcast, you kind of understand the theme that's been going on. You know, this time we have a guest, a Buffalo native. So if you're from Buffalo, New York, you know anything about it. You got Griselda Records. You got, you know, people like Rick James. You got other people like, you know, David Goggins, if you're into that.
Mm-hmm.
And today we got another one, you know, a remarkable Buffalo native, you know, by the name of Brandon Brown.
Yo, what's
What's
poppin'?
up, my guy?
My God.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. 716 in the building.
Yeah.
Word.
Beautiful.
I didn't know David Goggins was from there. He just put me on.
It's crazy, right? That's not bad. It's not bad at all.
I normally be like Griselda, Rick James. Also, Brian McKnight is from Buffalo. I don't think people know that.
That's actually a huge legend.
That's tough. That's tough.
Buffalo,
yeah, for sure. But, you know, how you feeling today, man?
I'm blessed, bro. We are bright and early. I'm happy to be alive. Birthday tomorrow is lit.
Yes, sir.
All right. Yeah.
Juneteenth, baby.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
My boy's liberated.
Right. I was born on June 19th, so, you know, I got to be free. You know what I mean?
That's funny. Yeah, I found that out recently. I said, God damn, okay, now I get it. Like, because you definitely be, you find a way to support, you know, Blacks, African Americans, like, in any way you can.
Yeah.
So it makes a lot of sense now. I get it now. I get it.
And I've been celebrating before they made it like a holiday the last 3 years. Like in Buffalo, we got one of the largest Juneteenth festivals. Ever since I was like a kid, like 8 years old, I'd be at a Juneteenth festival. It was always around my birthday, and so, you know, I've been celebrating it every year, and you know, and stressing the importance of it. Every time I have a birthday party, I'm like, yo, it's not just my birthday, it's Juneteenth.
Yeah. I saw you connect them for years now. I was like, I wonder if he's like, are you branding yourself in that lane, or are you like actually?
Like a what?
Like, are you aligning yourself with the holiday just because it falls? It's
I think so. If it wasn't on my birthday, it probably wouldn't be as significant.
Yeah.
But it falls on the exact day, so I'm like, and it's not like it changed like every year. It's like the 19th of June.
Yeah.
So it's like, I just kind of like will make it more about that, just to stress the importance of like, yo, this is what we celebrating rather than just my birthday. And then like, so if I was born on like the 20th or something, it probably would.
Like, all right, we're not about to line this shit.
Yeah. So what you doing for your birthday?
Man, I don't even know. I'll probably go to one of these Juneteenth festivals in Lamert or something. That might be today or tomorrow. I don't know, but I probably have like a little pool, something chill, like something with like a couple intimate friends, like nothing crazy, like, you know, friends, family, a handful of people.
Nice.
Yeah. Not mad at it one bit. I definitely, there's something that, you know, I picked up off of, you know, just observing your movements that has to do with this too. It's like the way you know, every now and then, I don't know, you do it like once a quarter or whatever. You're like, hey, if you got a black business, you know what I'm saying, send a link. I get something.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's fire. I started doing that shit too, man. I'm like, man, that's a great way to go about it. Like,
that's real, bro. I appreciate you, because I actually been thinking about that. I was like, I need to do that again. I used to do that all the time, like, just be like, yo, man, if I had a good quarter personally, I'd be like, yo, I'm trying to support people who like got their stuff, like people who follow me who actually got something going for themselves, like running any type of business. I'd be like, yo, send me a link. People be selling all types of stuff. Even if it's stuff that necessarily don't market to me as like a man, it might be something for like, I might get it for somebody that I know. I just like, let me buy at least like one thing from their site just to keep it going. You know, and I think that if everybody poured into each other like that, then we all would thrive way more. You know?
Sure. It takes a community in all ways. Yeah.
Like, you know, somebody, like they selling hats. All right, I'm gonna buy a hat. I don't even want a hat for free. I'm gonna get a hat to support, you know, and all of that. That go a long way because when I got something going, the same people go pouring to me, you know.
Nah, I agree with that. That's how it should be, man. We in a black owned studio too, so
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? That's how it should be. That's how you keep the money, you know, the money flowing.
Word. I want to shout out my boy Master Investor Ian, man. He changed my life, man. Like 2019, I joined his like Red Panda, and he told me all about like, you know, investing in everything. And he put me on game early, like right before the pandemic happened. And he always literally like, he shouted me out on Earn Your Leisure and everything. Like he always like supported me in all my ventures. You know, he came out to LA. He had a dinner. I mean, I've been living in LA for 10 years. He had a dinner one time he invited me to. And I seen a lot of fly shit, but I ain't never seen nothing as fly as this. I mean, my man Ian had full course food. Every time you ate one thing, they bring it out another plate. A whole table full of food.
No, you know the money different when you done and then somebody comes through.
Yeah, I'm trying to start something. They got another plate coming here, and at the end, you know, you dealing with regular people who had what, split the bill. He's like, nah, I got everything. Yeah. I'm like,
you hear the metal cling on the table.
Right. Yeah. Shout out to Ian, Master Investor. He different.
No, that's fire.
No, that's very fire. Yeah, that's definitely a sign of a nigga that got his business straight. Like, look, hey man, I got this. This is a business expense, my brother. We good. We good.
Don't you dare touch your wallet.
Nigeria, shout out Nigeria. He's a good man. He does things like that as well.
For sure.
Whenever he comes out here and we link, you know what I'm saying? He'll take us out. Yo, don't touch your wallet. You know what I'm saying? I got you. He's solid, man. Now, I appreciate stuff like that. But yeah, with that being said, all right, we had to do a temperature check. Make sure, you know, you're doing good internally. You know what I'm saying?
Here.
Deep inside. You know what I'm saying?
Word.
Deep down inside. But with that being said, I want to definitely dive into, you know, the beginnings and then the middle and the end and try to figure out, you know, how you got to the point you are today. Because if you guys don't know, Brandon Brown is very successful in many realms. I mean, acting, painting, and then he's a serial entrepreneur as well. So, you know, this guy just, you know, gets to it. So, you know, there's a lot to learn from him. So first things first, being from Buffalo, you know what I'm saying? What's that upbringing like? I know you always talk about it, you bring it up. I don't know much about Buffalo, being from Maryland. I don't know
shit about Buffalo.
Yeah.
I actually went into this blank slated because I'll like freak out and I'll like learn too much. And then I'm like,
yeah. So like Riverside High School, all that stuff, you know.
Yeah, damn, what the hell? He know that's crazy.
Research.
Research. Yeah. So Buffalo, and I'm glad you're asking because people have like this like idea. Maybe most people from like New York City, we used to get like shit on like oh, what's in Buffalo, farmland, like
there's nothing in Buffalo.
Yeah. No, it's a lot in Buffalo. It's the second largest city in the state of New York. We have an NFL team. We invented the Buffalo Wing.
Okay. And
is that true?
It is.
Yeah, we did. The very first, it's called the Anchor Bar. The very first Buffalo Wing, like everybody eats all over, it was made in Buffalo.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm gonna paint my narrative of Buffalo. So for people who don't know, Buffalo is very. So this is this is how I remember Buffalo, and I moved from Buffalo when I was 21 to LA. So I've been out here for almost 10 years now. Buffalo is very segregated, right? It's like you got white people that live in North and South Buffalo, black people that live in predominantly East Side area. That's where I'm from. Griselda's from, Rick James from, and then you got you know, Hispanic and other, you know, different people, nationalities, immigrants. They all live on the West Side. So like it's so segregated to the point like I used to go to like the mall and you see like a Spanish person, you live on the West Side. It's like you know where they live because that's how it is. And so you know that's just kind of like how it was, it's like changing a little bit, but that's how I remember it. And it's like, you know, very delayed from the rest of the world. But I grew up in, man, I had a rough upbringing, bro. I grew up in like, you know, the hood. Like it's like it was like real bad, you know, like poverty, bro. Like I'm talking about like food stamps, WIC, you know, the snow. Like I'm talking about lights was off. You had to light the house with candles.
Yeah.
You know,
The
gas
oven.
was off. You had to heat the house with the stove.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, I was so poor, bro. I remember I had physical food stamps. People don't remember physical food
Like
stamps.
you had the
Bro,
actual.
it was, no, cash. Like it was cash. It wasn't a
Yeah,
card.
no. They're like different colored cash. I
Yeah,
remember.
different color cash. I used to go to school and like try to pay for stuff, and they're like, "You can't pay for this," and it was like, "You can't pay with this," you know. That's the era I grew up in, and so you know my upbringing was like really different than what I am now, and it's probably why I go like hard because I'm like, man, everything I didn't have as a kid, like I finally got it as an adult when I was able to like earn for myself,
Mhm.
and so you know, I'm one of 8 children. Yeah, so I got a big family.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just like surviving and navigating through the hood and poverty and shootings. And Buffalo is it's a very dangerous place. Like people don't realize that. I feel like it's more dangerous than New York City. Ironically, like it was rated one like second most dangerous city in the United States like years ago.
Mm.
And it's just nothing but you know crime and you know lack of things. So it's over a slower pace. So it's more violence happen. I only
Yeah.
get really like PTSD when I go there
Mhm.
because it's such a you know at least the side I come from.
Yeah.
But overcoming that is just like I just had to get out of here. I had to like make it out and you know and get away from that because you know I didn't want to. I know I couldn't grow to
Yeah.
a certain extent there. Yeah,
For sure.
Was it always acting? Like as a
acting-
way to as an outlet to get out?
Yeah, so I knew that I wanted to move to LA. Like I went to college and I was like, I only went to college to pledge Kappa too. Like it was just funny, you know. I literally was like, I was in like I didn't even go to college right after I graduated high school. You know, people go to college that fall.
Yeah.
I didn't even go, but I was just like inquiring about it to like my profile Kendall, and I was like, yo, how do you come? I just wrote him on like Facebook because I know he was like in charge of the Kappas in Buffalo, and he was like, you gotta go to a 4-year university. I was like, all right, 4-year university. So I just applied to like Buff State, like literally
the first one.
Yeah.
Wait, what did you do in that time frame when everybody else went to school?
So right after I graduated high school, I that fall, like September-ish, I just started working like 3 jobs. So I just like stacked my bread. That's it. I was just like stacking all of my bread. And then when he said you gotta be in a 4-year university, I was like, all right, let me just apply to Buff State. And that's what I did the following year. And I got accepted. And you know, my whole journey was like, all right, let me be a member of this frat.
Yeah.
And it helped. It was a good thing because you know it was like you gotta have this minimum you gotta have a 3.0 GPA. You gotta have this and that. So I literally like it kept me on the right path of like maintaining you know some form of certain grades and things like that. And I studied criminal justice. I actually wanted to be like in like some realm of law enforcement, lawyerish, cop. I think I watched like Bad Boys, and I was like, oh, I want to be like Mike Lowry. You know?
Yeah. I'm not mad at that.
But then Juneteenth, but then sorry, not Juneteenth, but then Trayvon Martin stuff was happening when I graduated, and so I was like, I seen like protests, I seen people going like lining up with the cops, and I was like, I don't want to be on that side. So I was like, I need to be with our people. So I was like, I'm not doing that, and I knew I wanted to move to LA, and I just was like, let me just graduate, and whenever I graduate, I'm gonna just go pursue acting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yo said this is not like Bad Boys at all. It's not like-
Yo, going back, well, number one, shout out to the Noops,
Yeah.
big Noops. In the
Yeah,
pit.
for real.
Word.
How did you know about Kappa?
Yeah, so in high school, I was like pursuing like Kappa League. So I already know. Yeah, we had like
Man.
Kappa League is big in Buffalo of like.
That's good.
I mean, sorry, this is junior fraternities in general. Like it was like junior Qs and junior like sororities and
The
stuff
hell
like
is a
that.
junior Q do?
It's like, you know,
I never even
like,
seen that. You ever seen that?
Yeah, they got them in Buffalo. They called I forgot.
Puppies?
Nah, I forgot what they was called. I'm not even trying to shade them, like, but
Nah, me either.
Yeah, but
It's just-
basically they have junior fraternities, just how we got like Kappa League,
Yeah.
but like high schoolers,
Yeah.
and like it was a time where we didn't have no noops in Buffalo for a long time, and so those dudes, the high schoolers was running around like
Yeah,
was
like
real
they the
noops.
new
Yeah. And so I was like, you know, they was going to like college parties, and you know, I was like, oh yeah, I need to be like them boys. So
Yeah.
so yeah, I was just like, let me
Okay.
see who's in charge. I think I might see in the informational flyer or something, and I was like, all right, let me see.
Let me
Nah,
tap
that's
in.
fire. Yeah, nah, for real. You brought up a good point. Something I get stuck trying to explain to people about Kappa in general and just D9 frats, because a lot of times, you know, you might talk to someone, you say you're in a frat, first thing they think of is like, you know, how white frats move, oh, partying, drinking, this, that, and the third. I'm like, man, you don't understand. To even be able to join a frat like Kappa, man, you gotta like you said, GPA. They're like, you gotta be active on campus. You gotta be, you know, the president of a club that makes sense. You know, you gotta, you know, do community service.
Money gotta be
like
straight.
That. Like,
Yeah.
it's not partying and drinking. They really make sure that, you know, you're substantial. You're making, you know, your way on campus. And you're not just, you know, fucking off. Like,
yeah, absolutely. Like for people who gotta like misconstrue of what a fraternity is, like people be like, oh yeah, y'all went through all that just to get your ass whipped or something like that. I'm gonna tell y'all like why it's so important, right? Like we go through like weeks. First of all, Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated is a non-hazing organization.
Yeah.
So first and foremost, but I'm gonna tell y'all why it's deeper than that, right? Like the bond you get is a lifetime bond. Like literally, my closest friends are my fraternity brothers. They're all from different chapters, and it's not even on purpose. It's not like, oh, let me be good friends with Kappas or Noops. It's just like literally, we are like the most honorable, like, you know, hardworking, loyal. It's a certain level of respect that we have towards each other. I remember years after I graduated college, I was in Boston. I was at a nice restaurant, you know, dining with this girl I was dating, and it was expensive. You know, it would have been a couple $100. I was there. I would have paid it. But this woman came over and she said, oh, I had a frat jacket on. This woman said, oh, your frat brother on the other side of the room paid for it. Didn't even know him, you know?
Jeez.
I was in an airport one time. I had my varsity on. Year after that, some guy, I guess he worked for an airline, came up to me. He's like, yo, I'm a member of your frat, boom, boom. He gave me like some tickets to like some free food and drinks and all this other stuff. It's just like, and I go to a different city. I remember I was stuck in the airport in North Carolina. I like reached out, I was in like a Noop group chat, and I was like, hey, anybody got any bros here? I got layover to the morning. They had some random bros come pick me up, you know, took me out all night, had a great time, dropped me off at the airport. It's like, I don't even, you know, necessarily know all these, but they're a member of my fraternity. And we just have like this certain level of bond. Like wherever I go, if I go to a different city, I got a place to stay. They come to my city, I take care of them. We all pour into each other. So it's like a lifetime of connections and brotherhood that, you know, you can't buy. So, you know, it's worth it.
No, that's a fact. Well said.
For sure.
Well said, for sure. For sure. Yeah. Hey. Now we about to get mad people, you know, looking for Kappa leads and all that stuff around their area, which is good, good. That was well said. So before we leave, you know, the Buffalo, you know, topic, Clara Melendez, who is that? I'm very interested because now I seen you talk about it, I seen Griselda talk about it, and I'm like, I need to know the story. Like,
right. So Claire is her actual name is Clara, but everybody in Buffalo at some point, you know how like you tell one person something, you start a line and you tell somebody something, and then by the end of the line, it's like it's completely different.
Old telephone game.
Yeah. So her name is, we all called her Clara. No, we all call her Claire because we didn't know her government name. But then we found out like somewhere in the middle that her name was Clara. So she is the most known person from Buffalo. She is, ironically, she was a fiend, you know, she was a drug addict, but I've known this woman since I was a teenager. Everybody in Buffalo knows this woman. That's how like our city, everybody knows everybody. So she would walk all over the city, ask people, can I have $1? Boom, boom. But it's just like, we all gave her money. We took pictures with her, but it was like, she was just somebody, she had a big personality. She was somebody that everybody knew. And, you know, I know her since I was a teenager. And then fast forward to years later, I moved to LA. Griselda gets on, you know, they become the biggest rappers from our city. They get signed by Jay-Z, Eminem, and they put her on the cover of their album. And I remember it was so crazy. You know, I'm in billboards and Beverly Hills, and I see Claire on a digital album, digital billboard, you know, and I'm just like, whoa. I'm watching like Jimmy Fallon. He holding up this person who is like a local, like, you know,
celebrity.
Yeah, local celebrity. I'm like, whoa, everybody got a picture with her in our city. Like that was the most Buffalo thing you could have did. And so, you know, it was just crazy how she survived like every harsh winter, and, you know, and ironically, her family, you know, everybody would say her family she come from a wealthy family, and I think at some point, you know, her battling drug abuse, it kind of like it just like it didn't connect to her. Like she had a wealthy family, I guess, but she wasn't always the way she was. But at some point, she like took a spiraling downhill. But I was just impressed by her ability to survive everything and being on the streets and constantly walking all over the city. So, you know, ironically, tragically, recently, in my neighborhood, the same place I used to always see her, she was killed tragically, but the way that she died was so crazy because a car was fleeing from gunshots, and she was coming out of a train station in the middle of the night, and it ran into her and pinned her against the wall and killed her. And this is like recently, and so it was just like it was like it was heartbreaking for like the city because it's like, you know, I went to her funeral, everything. I flew back because that's how long I know this person, but it was just like kind of crazy to see that. So, you know, rest in peace to Claire, man. She was definitely a Buffalo legend, you know, if we ever had one. And yeah.
That's wild. That's wild. Sheesh.
Going to a fiend's funerals kind of.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, I mean, it sounds so crazy. Like, oh yeah, like, cause I hate to be like, oh, who is she? I was like, she was a fiend.
Yeah.
But she was.
I mean, people are people though.
Yeah. She was a people. She, you know, she was a person, and she had personality. It was like, oh, like she was just like naturally funny, like asking you for money and it was just like always like you know, it was the Buffalo thing though.
Yeah.
But she lived before she passed. Shout out to Griselda. They like took her different cities and stuff before she passed. So I would say she got the highlight of her life, like, you know, before she passed. So she lived.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Does the city like rally behind Griselda?
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
Is it genuine?
Yeah, the city rallies behind Griselda, and then of course like Buffalo is one of the places where like even Griselda, like Benny and West Side Gun, they'll still get on Facebook because that's how we all communicate. Like all my whole Facebook is predominantly Buffalo, you know, like you know how your social media platforms like different things, like Instagram is like mad more diverse, but Facebook is like family, people from back home.
Yeah,
but like even Griselda, like they be getting on Facebook and they be like having to cuss out people from Buffalo sometimes because they be like, you know, people from the town they be hating sometimes. Like when Claire died, they was like, oh, are y'all paying for the funeral? And he like, yo, relax, she just died. Like, y'all worried about like the wrong things, you know. And of course, West Side Gun, you know, he posted like, I think he sent like 10,000, whatever. He paid for the whole funeral, whatever. You know, he made sure that was good. So shout out to West Side. But like literally, like they rallied behind him. Ironically, I went to a Benny the Butcher concert when I was 14 years old. Okay. He used to go by 2 Chain Benny Man, and he had braids.
Bro, what?
This is when I was 14. Yeah, he was like the best rapper in our city, right? And you know, my boy put me on to him. I went to his concert, and then like years later, I just like forgot. I stopped hearing about him, and then I found out that like he was locked up. Like when I was like in my 20s, I was like, yo, whatever happened to him? Yeah. And then out of nowhere, I seen like, oh, they got signed by you know, Jay-Z. Like, you know, this is years ago, and I was like, oh wow, you know, I'm like, all right, starting to bubble. Yeah. And then really, you know, I started seeing him do features with major artists and all this stuff, and I was like, oh, they on, you know, like people finally putting respect on our city, you know, because being from Buffalo is like, we'll say we always say we're from Buffalo, but people from New York City be like, that's not New York. It's like you'll say I'm from Buffalo, they be like, that's not New York. You don't even say nothing, but I mean, it's like they naturally hate, but I feel like Griselda really like caused people to put respect on our name, and it's like nah, like, you know, we not a borough now, but we are our own city, and you know, we're part of the state of New York, and you know, the way they rap and sound, that's how people are. That's how they sound from where I'm from.
Okay. Nice. Yeah. Okay. That's fine. All right. So we got the backdrop, you know what I'm saying? Buffalo. I learned a lot about Buffalo right now. Mm-hmm. Crazy. Yeah. Crazy. So now I need to figure out, because how do you end up in LA acting? How does that come about? You like, did you have a game plan? Did you just come to LA and then the game plan kind of showed itself? How'd that happen?
Right. So I just kind of like, after I graduated college, I remember I crossed the stage and I had a job lined up the following Monday. I graduated on like a Friday. I had a job lined up on Monday, and I was just like, and I was working it and had an office and everything, but I knew like I was going to work that job for the next 30, 40 years, you know? Yeah. And I was like, yo, I got to go like live my dreams, bro. Like I can't be out here like just working at no office. I got my whole life to work. And I packed my bag and I just booked a one-way to LA, and I just like on some dollar and a dream shit. And I sold my car. I used that money.
BMW?
Yeah, I had a BMW. Yeah. Damn, bro. Yeah. How you know that? That's crazy. I'm like, yo, he did more research than anybody. I had a BMW and I sold my car, and I used that to move to LA, bro. And I just was like hit the ground running, you know. I think I like Googled how to be an actor, and I was like, whatever.
Bro, so you never act? No, you
like I did a theater play. I didn't act professionally until I moved, because like in Buffalo, there's no like. I mean, now they're filming movies and stuff, but there's not a lot of like acting opportunities unless you're doing theater. Like I did like a theater play, and I took theater class in college, but it wasn't like my whole major wasn't focused on like theater or acting.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was the theater class like? Did that because I believe it was Samuel L. Jackson. I believe it was him. He said he took a theater class in college as well.
Yeah.
And that's when he realized he fuck with this shit. Like,
yeah. I knew like I don't know if it registered. Like a lot of things didn't register. Like I also wasn't an artist back then, like an oil painter.
mhm.
And I remember I failed art history twice. That was the only class I ever failed in college. Yeah. Which is great. But I wasn't even an artist. It was so hard though. It was like about the history of art and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
I mean it's very complex.
Yeah. It wasn't like
But twice?
But I failed it twice. It's the only class I ever failed. And I think I failed it the first time, but I had to retake the class. But I think I failed it the second time because I emailed the teacher one time. I think I did it in caps, and she like looked at that. I was yelling to her.
Oh,
And
disrespect.
so she was pissed. Yeah. So she was like, oh, I'll make sure, And I had to take something else just to get my GPA up after that.
Yeah.
I didn't. It didn't really register then, but I knew I wanted to be on TV, and I was like, let me just move here and let me see how I'm gonna get on here. I didn't know if it was gonna be comedy. I'm a comedian. I don't know if it's gonna be. I just modeling. I was like, let me just.
So your play to come out here was for Vanity? Like, would you say okay?
Like to be on TV or something?
Yeah. Like, is it just to like get Brandon Brown in front of everybody?
Well, it was just like it was like I need to like my idea of what Hollywood was completely different. I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna walk out there. They're gonna see me. They're like, oh, I want him in the movie. It's like that's not how like life works. You'll get humble because everybody who's like the star or gym in their own city, they all come here. And then we all kind of realize, like, you kind of get humble, and then you go to audition and you see like a dozen yous, and you're like, oh, I'm not so special.
Stars amongst stars.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I didn't. It wasn't necessarily for fame, but I just wanted to like entertain, and I was like, I need to come here to entertain. This is the film capital of the world, and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, you get to LA, right? A few things I want to touch on. One, I mean, you did entertain, because I remember you was definitely doing like those skits. You was doing a lot of skits on social media that I saw where, taking over Shade Room was posting like every single one. You was going crazy with that. But how do you, so something I realized that you're really good at, right, is whatever you dive into, you do a good job of figuring out the best way to go about it. What class you gotta take, who you gotta pay for mentorship, whatever you gotta do.
Yeah.
So in terms of acting, how did you decide to go to like London's Identity School? Like how did that come? How did you decide on that school?
Yeah, so with acting, so like I noticed like British actors, like they was getting a lot of roles like of in our show, in our like American based shows, like even back then more so. And so I was just like, oh, let me learn how they learn. And so I was gonna go to London to actually like train and study and
learn how to do the accent.
Yeah, see what the hype is about, because they say there's like this thing of like they're better trained actors or whatever. That's what they say. But they had opened up an LA branch, and so they like their school, whoever was the head of it, they came to LA and they opened up a school here, and they it was supposed to be like the British teachers teaching Americans that way. So I was like, all right, let me go to this school. And I learned some different things that are, different from American class, like voice and movement classes. Like acting is so complex. It's not just like reading a line. Like they have classes specifically like just for like, your posture. Like if you're playing a certain role, like if you're playing a more superior role, you would probably stand more upright with your head high, or you would talk more slower. Like you're not rushing. You like basically like people waiting on you, or even the way you walk. Your movement, like if you were rich or poor, or depending on your class as whatever role the way you would stand, the way you would project your voice. It was like all this different stuff where it was like it was like different. So I was like, it was a cool experience to like learn that.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so you decide, is that what happened first? You started doing your skits, your comedy and stuff like that, and then you decided to go to acting school, or was that like?
I went to a lot before Identity. I went to a bunch of different. So when I moved here, I took acting classes, and that's something that you can always take. You don't necessarily have to go to like college for it. You can take acting classes here. Like they have a bunch of them. It's few of them that are actually good, and you learn something from, and then there's some who just like money grabs or whatever. But I think it was like a combination. It was like an amalgamation of things. Like I would take acting classes, like different like improv classes, so I can think on my feet.
Yeah.
I would take drama classes, scene study classes, different like acting classes, and then also I would like make skits. It was at the time it was like, oh, let's about going viral years ago. It was like, all right, let's make a skit. Quick minute, quick form stuff, like something like the time is always changing, like whether it be 15, 30 seconds, 1 minute, like as social media changes, like people attention spans get shorter. So it was like, how quick can you be funny? And I used to always like, all right, what's trending today?
Exactly.
Let me make a skit about this. It go viral, go in the shade room and go all, it's all this stuff. So I did that for a while, and then at some point I was like, I don't really want to be seen as like when you do acting, they say
the skit nigga.
Yeah.
Or the social media actor.
Yeah. And it's weird because it was a time like maybe 5 years ago where every time it was like all about like your social media following when you auditioning.
Yeah.
It's like, how many Instagram followers do you have? And every time I tried to hold back of like, nah, that's not what I'm trying to do. It was like every time I lose a role, it's to somebody who had a social media following. Yeah, and they would make skits and stuff. So I'm like, I think at some point, like people kind of like pivot from that. Like it was one guy who successfully did it. His name is Melvin Gregg. He like used to do a lot of skits, Vine, and all of that. And then at some point he booked roles on TV shows, and he like completely pivoted to like getting rid of that. Like he got to where he needed to be. So now he's booking everything. He's in all types of shows and movies. He was on Snowfall, all this stuff. But he is extremely hardworking. Like he like built his own studio. Like literally like years ago so he can create his skits and produce them and direct them. And I would say that definitely taught me how to like make be a producer, director, writer all in one. Like I would do all of that,
Yeah.
Going back to acting school and like taking those classes, what's been like a lesson you learned from that time frame that you still take with you?
Something I learned from that time frame, I think like the best class I took was improv class, and like it was just like to think on my feet. Like they say like the number one fear of humans is public speaking. And so I always like it's always good for people to like take, even if you don't want to pursue acting, like for you to like think on your feet, whether it be a job interview, whether somebody approaches you in life. It's just like the ability to literally like have one word thrown at you or something and just create a whole world from it. And so that's probably been the best or most useful class I've taken. And it's like it was a quote by one of my commercial acting class. His name is Killian. He said like take a leap of faith. If God don't catch you, he'll teach you how to fly. So
For sure.
do that. Yeah,
that's a fire quote.
Yeah. So in terms of acting, before we get into some other stuff, what's like one tip that you can give people that may want to move to LA, get into acting, want to pursue the same type of dream, and something that's not like people be like, just keep your head down and just keep at it. Like what's something that like that when it happened you're like, wow, this really like helped my career?
Right. I can't tell people like how, because there's no one path. Like I've seen people move here and take off, and I see people come out here for like 10 years and it don't happen. Like I would just say like the way I did it is like there's like a step by step, and it's like move to a major city. That's the first step to where you want to be. Like this is the film capital of the world, Los Angeles, Hollywood. So move to here, move to New York, move to Chicago, move to where stuff is actually being filmed, so you can place yourself in that environment. I would say the order is you need to get like headshots. Make sure you know how your headshots should look. Compare them to other people. Compare them to people that look like you, so you know a type. Know if you want to do commercials or theatrical. So commercials is a short form, like 15, 30 second, 1 minute stuff you see on social media or on TV. And then, theatrical is like TV shows, film. No, because it's different headshots depending on if you want to do commercials or if you want to do TV shows.
Didn't know that. Commercials
is more smiley. TV shows, theatrical headshots are more dramatic. No smiling, more of a character type. And you can do both. You just got to do different headshots for each.
Okay.
You got to do commercial headshots and theatrical headshots, because when you're submitting, they're different realms. So do that. Take acting classes. Even if you took it in school, you should always be like, sharpening your sword. Like, if you haven't taken them, you can always take them, but don't think like, oh, you already know how to act or you got this in the bag, because it's way more complex than that. It's very few people that's natural. And it'll just give you like the tools to like really be like great. Take some acting classes. You can always take them in, every major city. They have them. Go to credible ones that a lot of people are going to, or people that book a lot go to, so that you can learn from there. And finding an agent, after you got your headshot, you want to come to them as a package. Like, hey, I got my headshot. I have some form of a video reel. If you don't, maybe you can record yourself doing a comedy or a dramatic scene less than 1 minute, and you can just pitch it to them. And here's my headshot. Just come to them with stuff, because that's what you're gonna need to have before you. Like, they're gonna ask you for that if you reach out to them. So just come prepared when you introduce yourself. And then even if you don't have an agent, you can submit yourself. You can get your own auditions. I do to this day. LA Casting. It's called Casting Networks. Actors Access.
Write that down.
Yeah. So that's how you get all your auditions, and you can literally get your own auditions and get your own work too. Just have headshots and do everything in that order.
Fine.
Yeah.
Perfect. There you
go.
go.
I think I'm about to become an actor.
I'm about to lead this and go through the video. Okay, first step.
Producer, y'all do headshots?
She said no. No, we do not.
In that same realm, for both of y'all, give me a fictional character that you see yourself as.
A fictional character.
Any character from any story ever. You too, producer.
Damn. That's tough.
That's hard.
I'm joking.
That's tough. Fictional character that I see myself as.
Yeah.
Like who we want to be, or who we like
who
think we're closer.
Who you see yourself
like
as.
See ourselves playing, or do our personal lives?
Your personal life. You can say anything. You can give me the most vain answer.
I don't even know.
I was trying to think myself. I can't think of nothing. Nigga.
That's a hard question.
I just seen the motherfucking the new Spider-Man cartoon. He resembled me a little bit.
I was thinking Miles Morales too.
Oh, I got one. Who was it? King and Ant-Man?
Yeah.
Jonathan Major's character. Yeah. I feel like as a Gemini, I got that side where he's. I don't know if y'all seen that movie. He started off like he was trying to get back to his world, and the woman was helping him fix his time machine, and he was cool. And then when she touched him and she saw all the stuff he did, she was like, "Oh nah, we can't." And then he became dark. He started crushing everything, all universes. He was like, he had that side like, nah, they did me wrong, so nah, I need my revenge.
Boys tainted.
Yeah. I can see myself as king. Shout out to Jonathan Majors.
All right, so we started you did the acting school. You know what I'm saying? You did your due diligence. Mm-hmm. Now you're out in LA. You start, growing your social media. You start booking things. I'm not sure what came first, but you definitely, you were in that Steve Harvey, kind of like whatever you want to call it. It was like the Mr. Smooth pageant, but for Steve Harvey type stuff. Like,
right.
So how was that like early on, or what came first?
No, that was probably in the middle. I did a lot of stuff before that. Like every day, I'm just always doing different stuff. And in some realms, it's like, Steve Harvey had a show. I think that show it's like no longer. Yep. But basically, it was just like, I think it was like who had the best pickup line or something like that. I had a friend who was a producer, and they got me in there, and they just like, we just had to come up with the best pickup lines. And I made it down.
That shit,
yeah. I made it down to the last two. I mean, clearly the dude had a beard. The guy who won. It's just funny, but I had the better pickup line. That's
for sure.
Yeah.
For
I was about to say you about to say some shit.
Yeah. I did.
The way I observed it, he was just he definitely seemed older.
Yeah.
So he just he had that older man type of vibrato.
Yeah, that deep voice and that beard. Yeah. That beard tone.
But now you body that. I was watching that shit. I'm like, hell no, I would have fucked up on like maybe the first or second joint. Like, like, all right, now you go. Like, I would have said some corny ass shit. Don't quit. It's wild. It's like they gave you a scenario. You in the bowling alley. And she dropped her bowling ball. What's your pickup line? I'm like, I don't know. Like, oh, here's your bowling ball. Like, what and smile at it. Like, I don't know.
I mean, I'll say this. Like with TV, like you definitely rehearse that stuff before you.
I was gonna ask that too. Yeah. That was definitely
everything is not as it seems. Yeah, it's definitely like, all right, make sure y'all get these questions ahead of time and make sure y'all.
It's got to be good, right? The episode got to be good.
How soon you get the questions?
I think they sent it to us like at least a day before, and then as you're there, you go over it because they want to make sure people saying something that's kind of witty,
Yeah.
they'll ask you, all right, what would you say in this scenario? Okay, and then when y'all go out and film it, it'd be like,
That's funny. That's even worse then, because some of them niggas had so bad pickup
I was about to
lines.
say, do they? So okay, cool. You get it a day before.
yeah,
So people have the chance to rehearse. People on the casting set or whatever are getting a chance to see it. Do they let people fuck up on purpose?
Nah. If somebody naturally mess up like while the camera rolling, that's just them being bad.
Okay, but like the people behind the scenes know they're about to be bad.
Nah, they supposed to actually what you're gonna say just so they can, and if they feel like, oh, if it's not good enough, they'll probably give you something. Like, you know, but you want to make sure you ain't saying something that everybody else saying. So you know, some people kind of put their own spin on it, but you know,
that makes sense.
That's
like you know, that's how they do Wildin' Out too. You know, you find out like, you know, Wildin' Out, the celebrities come on. They said they got backstage comedians that will, if the celebrities like aren't funny at all, they'll just give them like 5-10 jokes.
Yeah.
That when they go on, they could just like, you can just do those jokes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay. And then, you know, some other things that came about, you know what I'm saying? First of all, like a travel influencer. Like, how does that come about? That's crazy. I'm like, what the fuck?
Nah, I wouldn't call myself a travel influencer. I travel a lot though. Yeah, man. I don't know. I got my first passport when I was like 18, 19, and it was literally just to force myself to go out the country. And as I get older in my years, I've been to so many countries, like 20, 30 countries. And it's just like, man, the experience of traveling has changed my life, because it's like you realize how grateful we are to be born in America. You know, and so it's like, all right, like man, we're blessed. Like, because when you go anywhere, like you like, all right, life is a lot. Like I think I grew up in the hood, and then I go to somewhere and I'm like, oh, I ain't really grew up in the hood.
It's literally hell, like in some other places.
Yeah. It's like that was a suburb compared to where they live, you know. And so you know, it's the beauty of like, and then also having beautiful experiences and just meeting like people who are just like much more genuine, much more like they're not on social media, they're more like present in life, and you get these experiences and you're like, wow, man, like it's so great to have this luxury of doing this and seeing people's cultures and seeing how they live and you know, how they don't need all the things that we need, or not so materialistic, or what's more important to them in life. And like I get my best memories from traveling. I get like so inspired. I need to take a trip sometime just to come back so I can work harder to take another trip. Yeah.
What's been what's been like the best place for you?
It's a lot of places. I would say like my top places, Cuba. I had an amazing time in Cuba, Havana, Cuba. Ghana, you know, I went to Ghana. I went to Africa. I was like, I always wanted to go to Africa. I went to Cape Coast, where they took like enslaved Africans to America.
You went to like that castle?
Yeah, the White Castle. Yeah, and it was called like the Door of No Return. They lock you inside of there, so you can see how the enslaved people felt. You know, and it's crazy. So many people died in there, and you know, they everybody who like left through there, it was called Door of No Return, because once they got on that boat to America, they wasn't seen again.
And they had no idea.
Yeah, and it was like, you know, it's just crazy seeing like, you know, I'm seeing people walk around Africa with like giant like tables on their head and dressers and no hands. They just walking. Like women just carrying it on their head. I was like, that was just crazy to see, and just the culture, and just literally seeing like how connected we are. Like even people having like cornrows or like having or picks, and just be like, oh, we know you know, we're not so detached from this. Like it's our people on the other side of the world, and you know, because Black Americans, it's like we forget our identity, you know, because it was stripped from us. But it's like a beautiful experience to be over there and seeing the culture and be welcomed. And you know, Ethiopia and man, Jamaica, beautiful. Like everywhere I go, I like to go to, like a lot of people when they travel, they go to like European countries. Like, oh, I want to go to, or they go to Asian company. I want to go to Thailand, or I want to go to London. I'm like, I want to go where Black people are at. You know, I want to go to Caribbean places. I want to go to Africa. I want to go to where I want to pour into our people before I go see, you know, before I go see what's going on in China or somewhere, or before I go see, you know, what's going on in Switzerland or something.
Yeah, where they might not even accept you out there.
Exactly.
But I'm glad you said that though, because I definitely had that written down. We have a segment called Black Men Must Haves. So, you know, it's just kind of like suggestions on things that we learned throughout our lives that we've benefited from, and we think, you know, Black men, you know, need to acquire. And passport was mine. So, you know, that was the one I was going to say this episode.
That is number one.
You gotta get you a passport.
Gotta have a passport.
Gotta go.
Get you a passport.
And with that passport, you gotta get pre-check. And you gotta get an Amex or get added to somebody Amex so you can get in the lounge.
In the lounge,
It's a different world when you like, oh, this is how the other people live in the airport.
Yeah.
While you taking off every article of your clothing pre-check, they just going through. They keep all their stuff on.
Mm-hmm.
You waiting by the gate before your flight for 2 hours, and they in the lounge sipping, eating, chilling. 5 minutes before their flight coming, they gonna go out. You know, it's different.
Instead of going to the airport spending like $25 for a bacon, egg, and cheese.
Be in the lounge.
Instead of bacon, egg, and cheese.
It should be crazy, bro. All right, no, that's beautiful. Yeah, I love traveling as well. That's what I preach. I preach to everyone. If I know you, like, you're not really into it, because as you know, especially like just in hoods in general, niggas don't be wanting to leave. But in New York, like New York City, niggas be like, yo, this is the best city in the world. Why do I gotta leave? I'm like, please leave. Just like see something else. I promise. Delusional.
They be on a beach in the Bahamas with their Timbs on, like, yo, this shit whack. I mixed the Bronx. Like, it's like, yo, nah, bro. You gotta get out there, bro. You gotta get out there, explore.
Yeah, for sure. Okay.
Black men must-haves. So I would just say like that. On a serious note, we must have life insurance. We must have, some form of brokerage account.
Yeah.
We must have beneficiary. I had a revelation a couple years ago. I was going through like a midlife crisis, if you will, and I was like, I wonder what happens if I die to my bank account. And I was like, I just went in the bank. I was like, what happened, boy? They was like, you need to add a beneficiary, because people die all the time and nobody ever think about it.
It stays in purgatory.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna add a beneficiary to my account. Or if niggas got like stock brokerage accounts and it's like, oh, if you die, like the money just sit there. I just be thinking about stuff like that. And I'm like, all right, let me ask somebody and then, pass this information. Like if something that, something happens to me, I need, be prepared, or, life insurance policies, something happened to me. Okay, you get $1 million. I got $1 million life insurance policy, and it's like things like this. So,
no, that's fine. That's beautiful. Definitely didn't think about that in terms of, this segment. That's beautiful. Yeah, definitely get you those things. Get your life in order, even after life. Because the last thing you want is to, pass away and then you got like 20,000 in debt, and that don't disappear. Somebody gonna have to pay that.
And your family got to make a GoFundMe and stuff. It's like make sure you're taken care of.
For sure. What's yours?
Shit. The beneficiary thing was really good. I did that last year because I had an aunt that passed. Passports up there. I would say a really good self-help book. I don't know. I've been reading a lot more. I think you kind of made me tap back in. I be like moving too quick, and I don't like to do just one thing. So like sitting down to read was always like something I was like, I'll get back to it. Like I used to read a lot, and now I feel like I got to keep going. I'm like, let me sit the fuck down. I read 10 pages a day, bare minimum, and like actually improve who I am as a person.
That's dope.
Take notes, shit like that.
Speaking of reading, the best book I ever read in my life, 50 Cent book.
You talking about his first book?
It's called, and it's losing me.
Yeah,
Wait, Google it.
I know exactly what
I'm saying it's the best book. I can't even think about it.
You talking about? It's like him and a gray cover or something.
Nah, Google his name and his books. He got a book.
The 50th Law.
Nah, not that.
Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter.
Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter.
I heard that was good.
The best book I ever read in my life. 50 Cent.
Jeez.
I listened to it on Audible. I'm an Audible guy. I can't physically read a book. I don't think I'll ever physically read a book again in my life. I don't have the attention span to do it.
Yeah.
I need to be able to multitask. I be painting and I need to listen to something. Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter. Literally the most relatable book. The most he's having accountability. He's like, I'm like, yo, I never related more to a book in my life. That's one of the best books I ever read.
Is that I think I've seen, I've watched some clips on YouTube. They have like some of the audio on YouTube.
Yeah, when you talk about son.
Yeah. Okay, I see. Okay, yeah, that the clips I seen was fire for sure. It's like he talks about something that he went through in life, and then he explains like what he could have did different, what he realized from it, and all this. So like, very fire. And then he put me on to 48 Laws of Power as well, which is a dope book. Apparently he read that and that changed his life for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's fire. I was gonna ask you, book recommendations. So that's fire. That's good to know. What I want to jump into now is, okay, we have a few minutes left. What I want to jump into now is your business acumen.
Yeah.
From acting. You know what I'm saying? You went from acting, you took that bag, and you became a serial entrepreneur, and like no exaggeration,
Yeah.
like for real. So I just want to understand where that came about. I mean, we can tell that you're just a hungry dude, but what made you dive into these certain realms like painting, Airbnbs, and all that? I don't want to put your whole business out there, but everything else that you do.
Yeah. So since a kid, like, my dad had me door to door selling candy. Like I always had like some type of a job, some type of income coming in, and it's like work multiple, like have multiple streams coming in. So like the business of acting, when you get an acting job, you get paid a lot of money, but it's hard to get an acting job. So it's like so scattered, it's so spontaneous, it's so sporadic, it's so spread out. So I know that whatever money I make from this, I need to create something that's like income generating asset that keeps paying me,
Yeah.
So now I'm like, all right, people always gonna need a place to live.
Yep.
Let me do Airbnb. I'm doing Airbnb, that's great money. People gonna always need a place, a car to rent. That's why we got these, Avis, Hertz, all these rental cars. There's always hotels. People need a place to live. People need a place to rent a car. So I'm like, all right, let me get these. Let me put my cars on Turo. Let me get them rented out. And it's just I've always had the mentality of I live in this expensive city, this expensive state, and it's like I need to have like multiple streams coming in. I'm not trying to be one dimensional. I'm trying to always have a bag.
Yeah.
Because as times change, you have to always constantly pivot. And people are like, like I don't care if AI take a job, I don't care who's president. I'm always going to pivot to the times. I'm always going to find a way. It's like, all right, that can happen, but if you accept like, oh, it's my reality, I can't prosper because of this situation. It's like you're not going to grow. But I'm like, all right, this happened, so how can I pivot? How can I, maximize or capitalize off whatever's happening in this moment?
Fire.
It's a great quote.
Yeah. Hey, that's a great quote. Yeah, I was gonna ask what your final quote is on Quotables, man. We could run with that for sure.
Oh, I got a few quotes.
Yeah, hey,
shoot it off, boy.
My favorite quote of all time is, never let success get to your head and never let failure get to your heart. I live by that quote. That's my favorite quote.
That's real.
Yeah.
That's real for sure.
Yeah. So no matter what you go through in life, don't get too big-headed. No matter how humbling your experiences may be, don't be too hard on yourself,
Yeah.
Like if you live by that, it'll keep you humble and it'll keep you grateful in your experiences in life.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Damn.
With that being said, it's Quotables, man. Brandon Brown.
Word.
Yeah. Appreciate it, man.
You already know, bro.
That was dope.
Great episode.